Getting a construction project done is a game of chess, not checkers. You have to be thinking 2 to 3 steps ahead. There's going to be plenty of times where you're finishing one phase, and if you didn't plan out what the next phase looks like, you created a delay for yourself. So just to give you an example, say you're getting ready to finish the sheetrock that's supposed to be going up, but because you haven't purchased any of the paint, you haven't done any of the finished electric or purchased any of the items that you need for the finished electric, now you might have a delay on your project because you can't just move forward on those things because those items need to be purchased. And then by the time that you go to order those items, they might be on back order. A lot of things have been affected by the tariffs and stuff like that, so shortages are still taking place. A lot of people are still blaming COVID on the supply chain shortages and issues that's taking place. Certain things might end up costing more than what you anticipate. So when you are doing a project, you want to be thinking ahead. And if you have the space to store these things securely, then I highly recommend that you have those things on the job site. If you can't secure them like on the job site, then that's a situation that's a little bit different, where I wouldn't recommend that you have all of those items in the same place. So if you know that the property is not going to have a door on it, or it's an area where there's a lot of people that break into properties, you might not want to have the appliances delivered well in advance to the point where you think that you might sell the property. You might want to do that closer to that date. That way it reduces the time window for when somebody's not going to be living inside the property. So you might want to push that out closer to the date that you're thinking about listing the property. And then for other things where you might have the space for it, not having it all in the same area, that way you reduce the amount of delay that might take place when you're on a job site. Just to give you an example, if you're gonna have a whole bunch of sheetrock being delivered, instead of having all that sheetrock put in one place of the house, you want to do something called staging. You want to separate it throughout the house. That way you don't have too much of a load in one area, and then it makes it that much easier for your guys who are installing it, that they can go to different areas of the house and it's in different rooms already, versus just having 100 sheets in one room. Maybe put 25 in one room, 25 in another, 10 in another, and then start separating those things out, and just accelerates the process of installation, right? So doing those things in advance, and then that way it's not a whole bunch of stuff in one room, because a lot of times when you stack everything in one room, it just makes it harder for you to be able to get through, keeping your job site clean. So on the project that I'm working on, one of the things that I've been doing is keeping all the stuff that is not active inside the basement. So as we're working on the flooring, and any insulation, all of that stuff goes into the basement until we know that we're gonna be working on it. So the contractor who's gonna be working on it, he'll go and grab it as he needs it from the basement, but it won't be on the first floor or the second floor, which is where our high activity areas are. So you wanna have a designated area. Sometimes people do shipping containers. Sometimes these properties have garages and they store all of this stuff in the garage, and then they work around, work out of the garage. You don't want to be working around these things. So you don't want to have a whole bunch of clutter all over the place when you're working. You're stepping on your products, destroying products before you end up using them, burying your tools. So you want to have a designated area for those things. So there's something to keep in mind when you are working on a project. You want to be a couple steps ahead. Think about how you're going to store your supplies, how secure the property is going to be, and then these are the type of things that'll save you, so that as you're going through your project, you're meeting the schedule that you set for yourself, because you thought about the purchasing of those items well in advance to the date that they had to be installed. All right, so just wanted to leave you guys with that. Peace.